Hello everybody, welcome to Just One Perspective. My name is Josh and this is my buddy Aries. I'm not sure he's been on camera here with me before. This is unique. This is a real treat. His, let's see, how old are you, buddy? He's got to be 14 years old now, something like that. And still spry as ever, huh, buddy? Yeah, who am I talking to? Who am I talking to? So he's gracing us with his presence today. One of my two boy cats. The other one I don't think has been on camera either. So come on, get your face up there. Look right there. No, he's not going to do it. So, well, thanks again for joining me today. I have a lot of thoughts rummaging through my head, and I'm going to do my best to bring them out to you in a way that's coherent and logical. Recently online, I saw somebody say something about a certain medical experiment that they took, and they didn't care if it was bad for them or good for them. All they cared about was that they had love in their heart when they took it, and so if it harmed them or even, God forbid, killed them, they said, look at all that fur that he's got. Okay, bye, bud. The topic is too much for Aries. Okay, bud, bye. They said that it didn't matter to them if it hurt them, harmed them, or harmed those they love, that they did it with love in their heart when they got it, and so that's all that really mattered. That superseded the hate that they felt others exemplified by not undergoing the same medical experiment. And that got me thinking about just the nature of our actions in this world. And I've been kind of dabbling in this philosophy called Pragmatism. I need to do some more reading on it, because when I say dabbling, it really is dabbling. I'm in no way an expert on anything philosophical, but I am aware of this pragmatism or pragmatic philosophy that was started in the 1870s that basically states, as I understand it, that philosophy shouldn't just be a tool to reflect the world in which we live, but it should also be a tool to help us make the world in which we live better. It should be able to give us a practical sense on if we're making things better or improving things around us. That's overly simplified, and I may not have that completely right, so let me just throw all those qualifiers out there before I get excoriated in the comments with that. But this idea that if your heart's in the right place, that means it's the right thing to do. The counter argument is that, well, if your heart was in the right place, but you ended up hurting a lot of people or hurting yourself, then that probably wasn't the right thing to do. Your intentions don't matter as much as the outcome. And it's like that saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? And I think a lot of people have fallen into this, and they have for a very long time, especially here in the United States, where they want to vote with their feelings and with their conscience and what makes them feel good in the moment, but they're not really thinking about what the actual outcome is. And I think that's doing a disservice to themselves and to everybody else around them. And it actually, I think it leads down a horrible path, because now you're not thinking long term, you're just thinking about, what is this in the moment, how am I feeling in the moment? And I can give you an example at work, at my work, in which something like this happened and where a bad outcome came out of it. I'm not going to go into too many details, because I don't want to be overly critical or harsh on the people who were just they were just doing what they felt was the right thing. And so I don't want to give away who that may have been or which company it even was or anything, because my views are expressly my own and nobody else's. So my company tried to do a green initiative last year and sent out a company-wide email to everybody. And basically the initiative, sorry, trying to think how not to go into too much detail here. But basically the initiative was, hey, this is going to be better for the environment and better for the planet, that whole kind of spiel. But what they didn't think about is that it might lower productivity in some sense, the initiative that they were taking. That was the first thought that I had, is that it actually had an impact on me that was negative. And they used what was called sort of a normative statement. And a normative statement is one that is making a value judgment based on the desirability of something. And it's all subjective. So when they said, we should do this because it would be better, that was the normative statement. They weren't just describing the situation as it is. I've talked about this before. The world that is and the world that should be. They weren't just describing that, hey, this is where we are. They were prescribing and saying this is what ought to be. And so they applied a normative statement, a value judgment on this. This is what you should do as an employee of this company because it's good. So they started off with that. And what it eventually led into is that if somebody like myself, who had a good reason not to participate because it lowered my own productivity for the organization, my experience and others' experiences were that the others at the company who saw us not participating openly called us out. They had the backing of the organization to do so, even though the organization didn't say to do that, but they had the implied backing of the organization to do so, and they had a moral judgment around it, making them think that, well, I'm good for doing this. That means that Josh is not good for not doing it. So that's something to be very careful of. If you're in a leadership position or you own your own company or anything like that, be very careful about putting normative statements around something. Be very careful about applying a value judgment on an action that you want people to partake in, or a program that you want people to participate in. Because if some people don't, then the ones who are doing it, you're creating a divisive line there. The people who are doing it are going to put themselves firmly in the I'm a good person camp, which means that the people not doing it are in the not good person camp. Horrible way to handle some of these things. And this is what we see in politics all the time. This is why everything is so damn divisive. Why everybody hates everybody else, why everybody's angry, is because instead of stopping and thinking about, okay, what is that person's values and what are they actually trying to do, we just sit there and say, well, I've been told by the government or by whoever else, by the health people or whoever, that I'm a good person if I do this. So therefore, the others, well, we know what they are. Evil, misogynistic, horrible people, and we shouldn't listen to them and they should be jailed. You know, things like that. I'm taking it a little far, but I've heard people say stuff like that. So people are very impressionable about this kind of thing. So if you're going to apply a normative statement or a value judgment around something that you want to try to move forward, don't be surprised when people start getting at each other's throats. And don't be surprised when people like me come to you and say, this is your fault. So be very careful with that. The point I'm trying to make is that my company, they were trying to do the right thing, what they thought was the right thing. But at the end outcome was actually not a good thing. And so from a pragmatist point of view, the fruits that it yielded, that their actions yielded, were not good, which suggests pretty heavily that the actions they took leading up to it were also not good. There's a Bible verse, I quoted it at the beginning of this video, by their fruits ye shall know them, and I think that's a very, very prescient and wise thing to think about. Even some of our legal system is based on that. What is it, like the corrupt apple tree or something? If you find evidence in a corrupt way, typically our court system will just throw it out. Because even if it's true, if you gathered the evidence in a way that is corrupt and unethical, then it poisons the entire tree. It poisons the entire tree of evidence. And so we also follow that kind of concept in our legal system to some extent, and for good reason. If you can't trust the way that the evidence was gathered, you probably can't trust the evidence that the person is providing. So I think, let's see, did I hit all my points? Pragmatism, and then going green. But there's a lot of different things going on here that I wanted to tie together. And I think the main message is that if you're just doing something because it makes you feel good, but at the end of the day, it actually harms people, that doesn't make you a good person. Don't do that. Think ahead. Think about what the actual impact will be. Think about who you're harming, who you're helping. And there's another philosophical viewpoint that you could take, which is utilitarianism. And once again, I dabble in all of this stuff. I'm no expert, but utilitarianism is An oversimplified version of that is, did I do more good than harm? And if so, that's what we want to aim for. We want to aim for that. So that kind of, ends justify the means. I don't think that's the way you should look at it. But as you're moving through some of these, when you're making decisions and you're trying to reach a goal, are you harming people along the way? And what's an acceptable amount of harm that you should do to achieve that goal? And if you're harming people, are you really doing the right thing? Even if you achieve your goal, the answer may be no, and you may want to rethink your strategy. So I'll leave you with those thoughts. Thank you all so much for listening. As always, these topics could go on for hours and hours. Maybe you can use this video as a springboard to go and check out some of these other concepts. I'm sure there's other videos out there that you can just kind of dive into and check out and really enjoy, and maybe come back here and leave some comments and let me know if there's any gaps in my thought process, because I'm sure there are. So thanks for your time as always. If you found this meaningful, please share with your friends, your family. Feel free to leave a comment or send me an email. I always love hearing from people and responding. And I will see you next time. Thanks for your time. Stay vigilant out there.